So another idea that I really like to pass on to my students about music learning is this idea of attention extension. My kind of nickname for it is Jedi Foresight. So let me talk a little bit about what this is. So when we're working on a piece of music, and especially when we're getting closer to performing it and we sort of know what's going on, you often have to start to piece a lot of different parts together, and you still only kind of have a handle on those things. And so this idea of purposely looking a little bit ahead of where you are, of realizing, all right, let's say I kind of know this measure, you don't let yourself focus on it too much. You start to say, all right, I kind of know this measure. That measure I kind of know. I'm going to let my hands do it automatically, but start to look a little bit ahead at what's coming. So if I kind of know... See, I was able to kind of look ahead at those next 4 notes, even though I've never practiced them before, and sort of add them on. Because rather than... I was barely even thinking about the measure that I'd practiced a bunch because I already knew it. So I let my attention drift away from it, and I focused on the next 4 things, and then boom, when they came, I was ready to hit them. So that's, and this is kind of like what they always say about, like, the Jedis can see into the future. They see things before they happen. You can usually only do so much of this. Your attention can usually only extend so far before you start to fall apart. And that depends on how well you know the piece and how much music you already know, what's already in your head. But this idea of starting to extend things a little bit further than the piece that you focused on, and really consciously doing that, or also really saying, all right, let's say there's a passage that I'm working on and there's only 1 or 2 pieces of it that are really a problem for me. Most of this is easy, but there's 1 or 2 parts I tend to screw up every time. It's like letting the rest of that become sort of automatic, and then really focusing your attention on those 1 or 2 little areas that are tricky, and then realizing if you can't do that, you don't know the pieces that you've worked on up to that point well enough to do that. So you got to break it down again, and back and forth between breaking it down into smaller pieces and building them back up until you're ready to start extending your attention other places. Another way that this shows up is just is realizing that certain actions just require a lot of attention. They're just like very tight motions. When I'm teaching people the spider, which kind of looks like this, where you're sort of crawling like that, you're really focused on coordinating this hand so that the notes connect. As opposed to, where you're planting this hand first and then playing, or you're kind of releasing this or planting a finger first and then playing. You want tight right-left hand coordination. And at first, that really takes some training. Even once you get that down, to really do the spider well, you actually have to prepare the string crossing. So once I get up to this kind of 4th finger, boom, I have to move these fingers over to above the next string to be ready to keep going, to keep it moving smoothly. And that requires, okay, I'm coming up to this. I know once I hit this finger, boom, other things are going to have to happen, and you're holding those in your mind before you get there. And this is like a really critical thing of like being able to direct your attention this way. But it really makes it possible to tie the pieces together as you are getting further and working on a piece of music.